Hello and welcome to this astrology reading. And today we're reading for Crawdeloch, and here we have some context for the reading. So he wants to see how the astrology pertains to his art project. And here's some background then. Starting from 2017, he was socially isolated and wrote a lot. But lately he's been branching out into visuals and audio. And in the beginning it was very much about nihilistic-pessimistic existentialism. And then in 2019, he was looking into the anima-phenomenon, from Jung, and that led into attempts of capturing aesthetics of melancholy, and he felt like writing was not able to capture it fully, so he branched out then to visual art and also employed some AI to bring like faster results and perfection. It's also thinks that music is the ultimate form of art and wanted to learn a way to channel expression through the body as well with a cello. Yeah, so it's basically literature, visual and audio, and the issue is the success is all internal, and he's been trying to attempting to define what external success would look like. Yeah. Okay, so from this as the starting point, we can go into the chart, the birth chart, where the planets were when he was born, and been looking at this chart for a bit in advance, and I can see like several challenging things about it, and we can go into more detail here, like an area at a time. So here is this horseshoe shaped symbol is the North Node, and it's in Capricorn in the 6th house with Saturn right there, conjunct, and Saturn with the North Node. Well, the North Node is about like the direction of the evolution in this life, so you're wanting to go towards Capricorn, so being your own authority and creating your own routine, your own structure in life, and maybe even broader than just for yourself, but that's like the where that begins anyways. And with Saturn being right there with the North Node is a signature of constant obstacles and challenge in moving towards that. So that can be a very frustrating thing, but eventually it is happening to make you stronger. Yeah. And being the 6th house also brings like the Virgo themes of like refining your individual skills and bringing them to the broader community. And I think like that's also pertains to the art, like how you are finding that sense of success in like that you are able to express yourself, but to find like how to bring that to others in a way where it benefits both the audience and you. So yes, that is what you are here to learn about in this lifetime. So that makes sense from what you're working with. And there's also in the 6th house here, we've got Neptune in Capricorn and Uranus in Capricorn, and that is then with Neptune about like your individual sensitivities and skills might have been like restricted or like not understood or supported in earlier life. And Uranus can be like feeling of isolation because of that then. And then there's still like in the 6th house here Mercury, so it's also like about bringing communication to the whole mix, to bring the skills through communication as well. Yes, so we could look at also the south node then. It's like where you're coming from, where you have already bearings in your energy, what you have already kind of integrated in, you could say previous lives if you want to take it that far, or in early life. It's just some innate abilities. So we've got here Jupiter in Leo. Jupiter is a very expansive energy, so, and Leo is the artist. So yes, that is something like that you are here to bring, is this expansive art, and it is expanding also like your life in a way, your life force. That's how you express it. It's very much through this art. And the south node being in Cancer in the 12th house is like with Chiron, the wounded healer here. So there is then a theme of woundedness in the home, or could be an unavailable emotional support in early life from the caretakers. And it might even be that it's something so subconscious that you don't even remember it, but in any case, since it's the 12th house too, it can be like this, then have led to this lack of trust in the collective, the universe, which is understandable. But to remember like that it doesn't have to be forever like that. It's like it's really about the path to find ways to support ourselves in the ways that we needed to have when we were younger, but didn't receive. And through that, we can move past it and to really then develop into the polarity of Capricorn more too, like, because we need both sides for it to work. It's like we need that emotional safety and compassion for ourselves, Cancer, but we also need those healthy routines and a structure that also helps us feel safe, but also helps us to achieve in a more outward sense. Yes. So maybe next we can look at here the 7th house. It's the house of relationships, relating, and here we have a balsamic phase moon in Aquarius, and the balsamic phase is like the final phase before the new moon. So it is a phase where we are having to let go of previous patterns and maybe I guess then like connections or maybe perspectives, because Aquarius is about the higher perspective too, but also about community. So maybe like perspectives about community and relating that you need to let go of from the past before you can move into that new phase where it can be different than it has been previously. Because, you know, we got here also Pluto in Scorpio in the 4th house. I like to say that Pluto Scorpio generation is here to transform the stagnant things that don't work anymore. And I think like that does include the stagnant thought patterns or ways of viewing things or relating to things too. And it really is this type of inner kind of shadow work, looking at these patterns, but also knowing like that they don't have to stay the same, and can be transformed. We can replace these thought patterns or ways of relating with different ways. And it starts with ourselves. And Scorpio is really a lot about that. Pluto is at home in Scorpio. It's very like has to do with transformation and that personal power too. And since it's in the 4th house, it kind of links to this South Node woundedness. But it's like, yes, you can transform this with the help of Pluto. To move forward. And here is also another detail, is Black Moon Lilith is in, is it the 5th house? Yes. And in a Sagittarius, and is stationing here at the time of your birth, and that makes it a very strong energy in your chart. So Black Moon Lilith has to do with repression and what area in our composition in a way has been repressed, what energy. So to some sense, like, well, at least in early life has been repressed. So in a way, like that Leo expressive energy might be part of that woundedness and repression from earlier life, that maybe you didn't get the emotional support for your expression that you needed to build that kind of like feeling of meaning for that expression, because Sagittarius is about meaning. So I feel like this really is like that suppression of meaning that kind of shines through in some of your blog posts, and like this feeling of also like shouting into the void, like that no one cares about the art that you make, which I think is maybe not completely true. I mean, I like your art and people seem to appreciate it in our community too. But there is this internalized repression of the meaningfulness of the art with this placement that it's reflecting. It's reflecting some sort of a situational repression in early life that then got internalized and became like, yeah, part of your, I guess, inner structuring, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Yeah, so there's like this, there's a possibility for a different stage in this Black Moon Lilith archetype, is where we're able to transmute this repression into like where we don't repress it anymore, where you could find in exploring Sagittarius, in the lived experience, you could find meaning instead of having this imposed feeling of that there is no meaning even in beforehand, before exploring. So that is something that I see here in this, and like, yeah, it doesn't have to be permanent, that feeling. And you know, like, I do feel like you express that experience very well in your art. But maybe there's also the fact like that this is not the experience of maybe most people. And that's okay, but maybe people can't exactly relate to it as well. It might be why it's not being shared as much, or it doesn't mean that people don't appreciate you expressing your point of view. Yes. And you do have this instinctual spark to communicate with Mars in Gemini in the 11th house, to bring to communicate, to express in the community. And I guess like that's like the kind of like inbuilt will to still like share, even though you have like this difficulty finding the meaning in it, but you have this will to express. And here's Venus in Pisces in the 8th house. 8th house has to do with Scorpio themes. So, and Venus is about beauty and embodiment and our values. And Pisces is about the collective, the everything. So Scorpio brings kind of like those subconscious themes also to it, like symbolism and art in a way, and Venus too in the sense of beauty. Now I know you've talked about that too, with like that maybe art will beauty will save us, that famous quote. And I think there's something to it, like with this placement too, with regards to your art. It's like something to connect to, like if you can find more trust in yourself and in the universe, then I think that can help you forward into also like finding those connections where you can find that outward success more also. But the whole process involves some letting go of the previous patterns of maybe thinking or acting, and then replacing them with different ways of seeing the world. And then moving towards that space where you can bring in a successful way your art, your skills to others in a way where both your needs of support are met, but also some needs of the community for beauty and for connection to and like through that expression to bridge between you and others. And the different experiences to bring that together. Yeah. So it's a heavy but very like potential is also huge here for transformation. Yeah. So I hope that some of this was beneficial for you as perspective, and if there's any questions or anything you would like to share more about any of these themes that I was bringing up, then Crawdeloch, please contact me. Or if someone else is interested in a reading, you can also contact me. And I will link to Crawdeloch's channel here in the end screen and in the description, also to his blog where you can see and read his art. And thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being you. And let's continue this journey of authentic relating. Okay. See you guys.